Redness at the start of Rampage. Madness. Also, hello my friends, and welcome to Ups and Downs for Rampage with me, Simon Miller. I appreciate you being here. And as we are at the start of the video doing a little bit of intro, don't forget to watch Ups and Downs for SmackDown today, because I've now decided we're linking everything together. So you wouldn't just watch episode 1 and episode 7 of The Last of Us, would you? Support Ups and Downs. I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, it was the Blackpool Combat Club, taking on the Dark Order, taking on Aussie Open, taking on Top Flight. I can only presume, because all of them had sucked in the Battle Royals recently, they're like, well, we've got to get our frustrations out somewhere. We also continue to tease that the BCC and the Dark Order are going to have a feud, because before this even kicked off, Claudio, Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, John Silver and Alex Reynolds got into it, and they were throwing the fisticuffs. It also meant eventually we got into Top Flight versus Aussie Open, and I realised I need that match properly, because Top Flight just jump around the place, and Aussie Open are such good bases, and some of the stuff they did here in about 8 seconds, I was like, yep, I'm in. I mean, Darius just took both Aussies down with a Hurricane Rana when Dante was here with his slingshot type move, which is always good. When Claudio and Silver got back in there, and they just got back to scrapping. Johnny Hungy was also crazy here, because he was just punching and punching and punching and punching. When he forgot what he's doing, he sent a message to his brain, and his brain went, I think you should keep on punching, so he went back to punching. Castagnoli then kneed him in the ribs, because why not, but this just sent Silver even more crazy. He started running around taking out everyone. I tell you, he a damn good wrestler. It really did suck to be him, because then Claudio caught him in a backbreaker, so he broke his back. When not only did we see Preston Vance and Roos watching this from backstage, but the Empire are also looking on. Sorry, the Kingdom, not the Empire. Who the hell is the Empire? The Kingdom were looking on. And I was like, well, how are they all going to get involved? And I remembered I don't write the show. Hell, I don't even know the names of the teams. This is when it was Wheeler Yuta's time to tag in there, and fair play to this guy. He has totally established himself as a bad guy, because when he started beating the crap out of people, do you know what the fans did? They went boo, and I don't think they were saying boo earns. Darius was then back in murking Aussie Open, which is his new favourite thing to do, as he hit this awesome crossbody. And this is when we just got all the mad dives and near falls, and one of the breakups by John Silver. Oh my gosh, I tell you, it made me go, he's done it, he hadn't. It also led to this awesome double super kick when we started to tease that everyone could win, when the Dark Order basically did that combo Mortal Kombat fatality move that ends with a German suplex, which probably would have been the finish. But Wills was watching this, he was like, no, it's not ending like that. He zoomed in, and he applied that seatbelt pin thingamajig that he does do. He got the 1, 2, 3. This is one of those matches I haven't done justice at all. It was proper chaos. The BCC and Dark Order also continued to brawl after this, and I think we're doing that match on the pre-show for Revolution. I mean, why not? It makes no difference, even though that show is going to be so damn long. But I am going to give it an up. It's always the best thing about Rampage. The first match is always totally crazy. Gets me excited. We then got this great video focusing on Hangman Adam Page versus Jon Moxley, and I'm so scared about that match, because 90% of this was just looking at blood on the floor, and I was like, that was weird. When we cut to a Jungle Boy video who said, hey Christian, I've got an idea for our match. It should be the final burial. What? So now they're actually going to kill each other, because that's what a final burial means. I mean, I have a first burial, do you? Now, I suppose this is going to be a buried alive match, but once again, 2023 is just crazy. Who thought we'd have this stipulation between Jack Perry and Christian Cage? Although once again, when I did tell my brain was like, yeah, I think that's a good idea. Because again, when it gets to the Revolution pay-per-view, it just means it will be paced better. So now I'm doubly excited, even though I don't really want to see somebody get buried. That makes you a creep. Riho versus Emi Sakura was next. That's flubbing fantastic. It also felt like the early days of AEW, and they just beat the shit out of each other, especially because at one point Sakura grabbed Riho literally by the hair and started throwing her around. Now, later on, she also grabbed her and threw her into Barry Barricade. How many times do I have to do this? Also, I want to shout at the guy on Dynamite that did have his own Justice for Barry Barricade sign. It's not fair. He's just doing his job. We've got to protect Baz at all costs. Riho then eventually was doing that badass Matrix thing she does to get out of the way of moves when I realized the fans were going crazy for her. This happens every single damn time. She just has something about her and people gravitate towards it. It didn't really help because eventually Sakura nailed her with this awesome tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, and that move is always good. And after she had once again used Barry Barricade as some kind of a weapon, she hit this neck breaker. And as I always do, I was like, well, I tell you, that's gonna break her neck. That makes you screwed up. Riho kept trying to fight back from underneath because she's so good at that role, but eventually Emi just hit her with this lariat and I was like, oh, that's it, she's dead. And honestly, both guys must be in a world of hurt this morning This was kind of brutal. It all changed when Sakura went for her moonsault, but Riho got out of the way. Although Riho then went for her double stomp and she missed that too. And when they hit the ropes, Riho decided, well, I'm going to get you with a crucifix pin. But then kind of mid-motion went, actually, no, I'm going to turn this into the sunset flip, which I deem to be the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment, the surprise roll-up, and she pinned her. But that was a great finish to a great match, to the point I am going to give it an up. We need to feature these two more. Bring it down, the roll-up counter goes up by 1 over both AEW and WWE, but I do not care. Once again, is it overused? Yes, but does it have less of an impact when it follows something as good as this? The answer is also yes. We then got another video for Revolution, this time focusing on the three-way for the women's title, and I'm very excited about that one too, because I believe there will be shenanigans when Powerhouse Hobbs absolutely wrecked Serpentico. Or at least we think it's Serpentico, you never know. Bless this masked man too, because he actually tried to jump Hobbs, so William was just like, no, absolutely crushed him before he hit that burning hammer type maneuver, and he got the 1, 2, 3. He also had his giant sonic ring here, so he's basically Dr. Robotnik, and everybody loved him, especially when he got the mic and said, I want the TNT Championship, because we are in his hometown. And here's the thing with Hobbs, he's ready. He is ready to fly to the next level. It is time to pull the trigger. He's so damn good. He's found it. Who knows why? I guess it's just experience, but I am giving it an up. I'm excited about the future for Mr. Hobbs. Interestingly, Rene Paquette was then interviewing Takeshita. Now he was saying he realizes that he hasn't got a big win recently and maybe he needs to go back to Japan and train again, when Don Callis walked in and said, or I could be your right-hand man, or I can also give you a lift to an airport if you do want to go back to the East. That made me laugh. I was like, what a nice guy. I do enjoy this though, because Don Callis is so good at what he does, and if we are trying to take Takeshita up to the main event level, I actually think Don will help with that. So we will wait and see, but this could be a good story. And then, my word. So we cut to Mark Briscoe, who was cutting a promo, and it's just the greatest thing you will ever see in your life. Make sure you go and watch this today. It'll make you feel warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum. It'll remind you to tell your loved ones that you do love them and to kiss them and to hug them. And it ended with the Lucha Brothers walking into shop because they are going to be on the AEW Revolution pre-show. That's all I need to say about it. Some things are better left unsaid, and the main takeaway being that you do need to go and watch it. I love Mark Briscoe. I think he is such a dude, especially with everything he's been through. So I'm just going to give it him up and remind everyone to keep his family and friends and all the thoughts and feelings in your hearts, because I can't even imagine. We then got more Revolution promotion as all the tag teams were saying, I'm going to win the tag team titles, so one of them were lying, when it was Swerve Strickland and Parker Boudreaux versus Keith Lee and Dustin Rhodes. And this was a terrific main event. Keith Lee also now wears a cape to the ring, and honestly, he looked like a Sith Lord here, so I was like, well, I didn't think I could like Keith Lee any more than I already do, but I was wrong. And every single person here just pulled it out the bag, other than, yes, Parker Boudreaux. But here is the thing. If you want him to get better, you have to give him the experience to get better, and the only way to give him the experience is to allow him to have experience. What? It is true though, so rather than get on his case, why don't we support him, send him some positive vibes, and hope that he does improve? I mean, loads of people have said he does have the potential, so just chill out and let's see what happens. And even with all that, this was still great. Dustin and Strickland got into it at one point, and as we learned recently, they have such good chemistry. But the other storyline here is that you didn't want Keith Lee to tag in, because he would grab you and just throw you towards the sun. I really like how we use Keith. He also got the hot tag at one point, but he wasn't wearing his cape then, so I was like, that's a bit sad. But he did see Parker Boudreaux, and he absolutely kicked the crap out of him. I mean, not literally, because that would make me stop watching. And then we did get to Swerve versus Keith Lee, and once again, they just got me so excited for their future programming. And when they do their one-on-one match, it has to be on the biggest stage, because we've been telling this story for ages, and once again, they just work very well together. Wonderfully too, all the moves Swerve tried on Keith Lee basically didn't do anything, so Keith just grabbed him and slammed him down. But this is when Parker noticed it wasn't going well for his friend, so he whacked Keith Lee right in the testicles. Doesn't matter how big you are, it's gonna hurt. Strickland absolutely loved this though, because he then used Keith Lee's body as some kind of a platform and did a moonsault onto Dustin Rhodes. And I'm sorry, but that is absolutely ludicrous. Everybody was then hitting all the moves, including a crossbody, and there was a bulldog and a flatliner, when of course Dustin made sure to hit his destroyer, which he loves to do. But Lee had all of these beat, because he grabbed Dustin Rhodes, he picked him up, and he threw him at Swerve, and because Strickland is an asshole, he ducked. Instead, we hit Parker Boudreaux when Keith Lee hit that jackhammer variation that he does do, and he got the 3. And honestly, the last 5 minutes of this were true fun. No, I am going to give it an up because, again, it did get me excited about the future, and it's a little sad we're not doing this at Revolution. And we got one final angle too, because Chris Jericho was on commentary, started to go, Ricky Starks, I'm going to absolutely destroy you. When Rick turned up behind him, they started to brawl, and that's how Rampage went off air. So again, it did exactly what it needed to do to get you to at least try and buy the pay-per-view. So when it comes to the show overall, giving it an up. Now, please do click the video on the screen for SmackDown Ups and Downs to make sure you support all the ups and downs, because why the hell not? Sounds like a good thing to do. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Head on to WhatCulture.com where you can keep up to date with all the wrestling news. And we're on social media at WhatCulture WWE and Simon Miller 316. Do the dance.